flooded Hart Park, ruining the playing surface that the Torrent usually play on in Wauwatosa. That is why we are at Eline Soccer Park today. However, repairs are ongoing at Hart Park, and the expectation is that most of the 2026 season for the Torrent will take place at Hart Park. Of course, there was also damage done to a significant amount of the Torrent's fan merchandise as well, so we are encouraging all Torrent fans to support the organization by simply heading out and buying some of the new stuff that you can find online and the new merchandise trailer that you'll find at matches as well. But today, we can talk a little bit about the soccer, even though the Torrent have returned back to their original home of Eline Soccer Park, where they first began as a franchise. And it is a quarterfinal match in Region 2 for FC Milwaukee Torrent as they take on the Green Bay Glory. Of course, the Torrent in the past have hosted the USASA Amateur Cup Championships here at Eline Soccer Park. So they are, of course, trying to get a victory today so that they can continue on in the USASA Amateur Cup and try and get to that championship that they have previously hosted here. And we are underway in this match between the Torrent and the Glory. You heard the starting lineups ably announced by our producer, engineer, PA announcer, music man, scoreboard operator. He's playing the drums. He's also on keyboards. He's kind of like the monkey that, you see the one-man band that's got the cymbal on his head and the drum on his back and the whole thing. Kevin O'Connor. We'll run through it one more time for FC Milwaukee Torrent as they're over the top of the ball after kicking off in this contest. It is Espinoza, Pil, Gongora, Vaung, Lasso, Isom, Lecomte, Lopez, Kaup, and Wasco in front of Nick Chiappa in goal for FC Milwaukee Torrent. Meanwhile, they're taking on this Green Bay Glory team. We didn't know a lot about them coming into today. O'Doherty, Johansson, Sosa Lucia, Nogenga, Pecor, Bordini, Vulgaris, Utesh, Giacaris, Niame, and it is Mo Zenfori who is back between the frame for the Green Bay Glory. Kind of a feeling today as though this is a friendly with some meaning, if you will. It's a USASA Amateur Cup match, but of course, with it being this early and with spring season for collegiate programs just wrapping up really last weekend, not a lot of time for these teams to come together and figure out just who they are and what they want to be. So there's going to be a lot of feeling out in this match. Don't get me wrong, when you have players coming from both the Green Bay area and the Milwaukee area, there's going to be a lot of familiarity. And right there, we're also seeing something else today as well, which is that there is a significant wind here at Eline Soccer Park today. It is 64 degrees. It's a pleasant day, partly cloudy here in Milwaukee, but the wind is coming out of the southwest at 19 miles per hour with gusts up to 36, and it has created some issues in terms of setup. We have a temporary sound system for the fans in attendance today. The speakers have been blowing around and spinning in circles, and in one case, one even fell over from the stand that it was on. You'll be able to see the corner flags flapping in the breeze, and it's not uncommon for Eline Soccer Park because it's in a wide open space. For those of you who are old school Milwaukeeans, you'll even remember once upon a time Melody Top was once here, the old circus-like tent where there would be Broadway-style shows. It's been since replaced here by Eline Soccer Park, but because it's a wide open space, there's not a lot out here to really knock the wind down. And so on a breezy day around the city, it's going to be even windier here at Eline Soccer Park, and that wind out of the southwest means that it's coming from on your computer screen, your TV, however it is you may be watching us, your phone, ESP, whatever it is. It's going to be coming from the left side and from the far side of the screen to the near side. So from the far left corner towards the near right corner, that's the direction of the wind, and you'll be able to see with the Torrent with the wind at their back to start this match, it may give them a bit of an advantage. You saw in that one throw-in for the Glory earlier that throw, it looked like he tried to adjust the wind and it just died down at the wrong time, and he ended up throwing the ball out over the end line. So it's going to be that kind of a day in terms of adjustments for both the Glory and the Torrent, because they're going to be fighting the conditions in addition to each other, as well as the relative newness of these players to each other as they kind of figure out just, again, what exactly their styles are as they come together. And we'll be talking about some of the new members of the Torrent, some of the changes that we've seen, not just with the Torrent, but the nature of soccer in southeastern Wisconsin throughout today's match, as we'll get our first shot of the day, but that is well high on the part of Brandon Kaup, who is back with the Torrent, a returner for FC Milwaukee Torrent. We've got some new names for the Torrent as well. Have to be honest with you, as someone who has some familiarity with the program at Wisconsin Lutheran College. I'll say it 3 times until I say it correctly. Choi Ramirez Pabon is part of the Torrent's roster today, and he was really the most impactful player for Wisconsin Lutheran last year, and we'll spend some time, if Ramirez Pabon has the opportunity to take to the pitch today, talking a little bit about some of the changes over at Wisconsin Lutheran. New head coach for the first time in over a couple decades over at Warrior Field, but excited to see if he gets out there to get some action for the Torrent today, because for that Wisconsin Lutheran team, which struggled last year, he looked like one of the pieces that new head coach Steve Bodie can build on with the Warriors. That's a ball played out beyond the touchline. It'll be a throw-in for FC Milwaukee Torrent from the far side. We are in the 5th minute of this match, under the observation of official Alex Hofstetter, as the Torrent and the Green Bay Glory get this 2026 season underway. Of course, there's a lot of different competitions that you'll see the Torrent in this year. There's the Wisconsin Cup sliding challenge. Second ball won by the Glory, but Gabriel O'Doherty cannot find a teammate with the pass, and the Torrent take possession back. The Wisconsin Cup, from the amateur perspective, in addition to the USASA Amateur Cup. We have to clarify the Amateur Wisconsin Cup, because last weekend you had the completion of the Spring College Cup, that is also called the Wisconsin Cup. You had 2 matches that took place at Valley Fields, downtown Milwaukee. It was Wisconsin getting the victory over Green Bay in the championship match, and Marquette lost Tristan Runnestead-Stevens to a straight red in the 11th minute and fell to the Milwaukee Panthers in the consolation match 1-0. And some of the players that were at Valley Fields last weekend out here today, as that's a ball that'll be played over the end line, and we'll have a goal kick for the Glory. Torrent have had decent possession through the first 6 minutes of this match thus far, but have not really had much other than the one shot high by Kaup as we settle in here at Eline Soccer Park. Good to have you on board today. Dan Pfeiffer along with you this afternoon. But settling in kind of is the story here, as again, it's a year for the Torrent where after what happened following last season, it really was after the season. It wasn't long. The flood happened in the second week of August. It was at the very end here in Milwaukee. One of the consistent signposts on the calendar is the Wisconsin State Fair. It takes place in nearby West Allis. It's always the first and second weeks of August as we get a whistle and a foul on the far side. Hard foul. Sliding challenge. We won't see a booking from Alex Hofstetter, but we will get a set-piece opportunity for the Torrent here. Angel Gongora tells his teammates, hey, let's stay under control. It's early. 8th minute of the match. Little shoe tying action on the part of the Torrent here before we get this free kick. But again, and I hope I'm not making it sound trivial when I say it was a torrential downpour, but it was just a massive amount of rain. There were cars that were flooded into the parking lot and the parking areas in the infield of the racetrack at the Milwaukee Mile at Wisconsin State Fair Park, and just all through the Milwaukee area there was flooding. And as it was, the river near Hart Park overflowed, and some of the dramatic pictures showed the artificial turf at Hart Park washed together into a wrinkly form that certainly was unable for any form of play, but also significantly damaged and had to be completely replaced. And took a while for Wauwatosa to be able to get the funds, but good on Wauwatosa to secure everything they needed from the insurance side, aid money, and again, they're close. They're very close to having Hart Park ready to go, and it will be a triumphant day when the Torrent do return to Hart Park, which will, again, occur soon, but just not quite ready for this one. And this one came on the calendar relatively recently. The We're going to have a foul from behind on the part of the Glory, as coming from behind, that's Tom Giocaris, who just kind of caught things up with Liam Wasco, and it was more incidental than anything. They both go down. No intent, no need for a booking, but it is a foul, so the Torrent will get the free kick here. So it will be exciting for the Torrent to get back to Hart Park. And it's nothing necessarily against. This is a great facility here at Eline Soccer Park. There's history here. U.S. Women's National Team played a match here back when Mia Hamm was at the height of her popularity. The Milwaukee Rampage, Milwaukee Wave United played here. The Rampage would draw crowds in the thousands when they would play here in the 90s. They were really the best example of how crazy Milwaukee could get about outdoor soccer. Of course, the Milwaukee Wave, finalists this year in the MASL, couldn't get past the San Diego Sockers, but great season for the Wave this year. And there's been some crossover between the Torrent and the Wave as we have a nice run here for the Glory. That's Niame, who comes up edge of the 18. We'll pause on the soccer discussion as Niame, there's a cross that is impacted by the wind. Tried to send that one inside the 18. It goes beyond the edge of the 18, goes in the wrong direction for Niame. And now the Glory have to reset, and they'll go back to playing some square balls and playing a little bit more short. Nice defensive challenge. Glory able to maintain possession. Ball played forward, looking for Niame in the middle. Torrent are able to clear momentarily. Now the Glory will try and build out of the back. But there are pros and cons to both facilities. Generally speaking, and again, this is absolutely nothing against Eline Soccer Park and everything it has and continues to do for soccer in the Milwaukee community, but I know for Andy Davi, one of the big things is that with Hart Park, it's right in the village of Wauwatosa, and it's surrounded by shops and restaurants and places that supporters can go before and after matches to enjoy themselves, and it's just kind of the nature of Eline Soccer Park being a recreational soccer facility such that there just isn't as much around here. There's a few things within driving distance, but it's not necessarily a convenient walk, and you'll even see in the background that there's practice fields and other soccer fields and whatnot. Pat Jones Field is behind us. You won't see that. It's to the east. We are on the east side of Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium, the main stadium here. And hey, you know, again, this facility is good enough to host the WIA State Soccer Championships, boys and girls, every year. So it's a fine facility. Good through ball, looking for a touch, nothing there. Picked up by Hakan Utesh. And we had said initially that Zenfori was in goal. It looks like it's Utesh that's in goal. The Glory did not give us positions. Our apologies. Again, we didn't really know much about who was going to be with the Glory coming into this match. So, again, early season rosters still coming together for some of these clubs. So, our apologies as you do see Zenfori out there, and it's Utesh that's in goal. Correct things in my spreadsheet here. 2026. No written rosters for us. Everything's technology. We haven't replaced me with AI yet. Although there are some ways in which AI might be more intelligent and actually more natural. I can be kind of artificial sometimes. I try to be genuine, but you know. That aside, grateful though to the folks at Eline Soccer Park here for having us today. And again, Torrent, when they hosted the USASA Amateur Cup, they chose to have it here. So there are reasons to play at both facilities. Generally speaking, the Torrent do prefer Hart Park, but absolutely nothing wrong with Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium. 14th minute of this match saw a run there by the Glory, as once again it was Niame who was able to get it and take it inside the 18, but it was dispossessed. Then played back to the Torrent keeper, Chiappa. Nick Chiappa, Whitefish Bay product. Robbie Dubinsky's program's up there. also a Milwaukee Panther. Torrent now waiting for an opportunity to push forward. They'll start to do that on the dribble. Kaup, low cross, shot on and in! The first goal of 2026 for FC Milwaukee Torrent is scored by Gabe Vong. Vong takes the low cross from Kaup and slots it past Utesh to put the Torrent on the board for the first time in this USASA Amateur Cup Region 2 quarterfinal. And that was a clinical finish by Gabe Vong, the Sun Prairie, Wisconsin native.
Your first FC Milwaukee Torrent goal by number 9, Gabe Vong.
It comes in the 15th minute. Put that one on the highlight reel. That's an example of how you score and score easily. There really isn't much that Utesh could do with that. There was a lot of goal in front of Gabe Vong. More a failing of the back line of the Glory than anything to give Vong that much space. Just lost track of him without the ball, and the low cross effective for the Torrent. And the Torrent have a little bit of a new look with the coaching staff this year. Right now, there isn't necessarily a declared head coach. You have Max Ludwig, you have Tyler Howard, and you have Javier Steinwasser, who moves to a coaching position. And we mentioned some of the crossover between the Wave and the Torrent. Steinwasser, a name familiar to Wave fans. All of the brothers, yes. And Javier spent some time with the Torrent in the past as well. But you have those three individuals who have a history with the Torrent, and you also have Andy Davi, who is primarily the coach of the women's side, but as the owner and operator of the Torrent, certainly has influence with the men as well. And we see that a lot with the women's side, where they love those low crosses that create chaos in the box, and it forces the issue. And you can talk about the strategy when you go with the low cross, as that's a well-played ball by Niame, trying to get by the defender Pill. He does pop it up in the air and gets it over Pill, but his second touch sees him fall to the ground and unable to do more with it. And the Torrent back line does come together and is able to clear. Glory do keep possession near the midfield stripe. Back and forth, Zenfori plays it out wide, but the Glory still trying to establish as they come forward. So many players like the high cross because it creates different opportunities for whoever is on the back end of it, whether you want to chest it, play it down, go direct off the header, one touch. But with that low cross, you create panic because it's so quick. That high cross, defenders are able to come in and anticipate. On the low cross, there's not time. And not only that, if you catch a defender out of position, and we've seen this a number of times with the women's team for the Torrent, you'll get instances where the defender, in panic, will make an adjustment, and you'll get some own goals because defenders won't know what to do. They'll get caught in a spot that they don't want to be. Sometimes it'll just make contact with them. And the keeper, also in a position where he's got to try and coordinate things quickly, just isn't in the right spot, and the ball goes in. And Torrent women, there have been more than a few own goals that the Torrent women have gotten because they use that low cross. And that's a low cross on the part of the men, on the part of Brandon Kaup, UW Whitewater product from Wisconsin Rapids. He finds Gabe Vong, experienced Torrent players, multi-year Torrent players, and it results in a goal. And then a dangerous situation there for Utesh as he has to play the ball back into the 18. Torrent applying some pressure, up 1-0. We're now into the 19th minute of the match. Goal came in the 15th. Ball played forward, not much of a challenge for Kiapa. Pressure applied by Niame. Sliding challenge. Won by the Glory, though. Lopez just went through the ball. Ronaldo Lopez. Baraboo native. Baraboo High School is the home of the Thunderbirds. And I have a running joke that I always give about that. And given that this is a match between clubs from Wisconsin, Always said Baraboo High School, they shouldn't be the Thunderbirds. Baraboo, of course, as we get a whistle and a foul call against the Torrent. Nathaniel Isom thought that it was just incidental contact, but it did knock down Griffin Pecor. So we'll get a free kick for the Glory in the attacking half. Yeah, Baraboo is the Thunderbirds. I always thought, given that it's the home of the Circus World Museum and the original home of the Ringling Brothers Circus, that the high school and the team nickname should be the Clowns. Why wouldn't you be the Baraboo Clowns when you're in the home of the Circus World Museum? And then for introductions, what you could do is instead of all of the players walking out, you could have the little car just drive out to midfield and then all 11 guys hop out. I think it would be genius. Yet somehow no one listens to me. I don't understand. 20th minute of this match, Glory are up 1-0 on the strength of that 15-minute goal by Gabe Vaughn. Just that quickly, the Torrent getting the opportunity. It didn't take long to materialize either. And look at this. This is Vaughn. But the through ball is too far forward for him. It goes out beyond the end line. Bounces off that back wall. And we'll have a goal kick for the Glory. And again, we talk about the history of this E-Line Soccer Park facility. I have been very fortunate. I have worked the WIA State High School Soccer Championships for the last 6 years now, going back to 2019, unfortunately in 2020, as was the case with a lot of things in 2020. There was no spring championship for the girls, but both the boys and girls championships here. And one of the more epic years was my first time here in 2019. Speaking of that back wall here at E-Line Soccer Park in Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium. It was a different sponsor with their name on the stadium at that point in time. The Division I final in 2019 on the boys' side ended up being an intercity final. A bit of a local derby if it had been played in the city of Brookfield. And if you know anything about high school soccer in the state of Wisconsin, as that's a cross for the Torrent, up over the top. It hangs up in the wind, but no one's on the back end of that one from Isom. And Utesh is able to run it down for the Glory. Both Brookfield East and Brookfield Central have been home to some of the best high school soccer products through the years. And there are programs, Oregon, in the Madison area. That's a shot that goes wide of the mark after a maneuver for Jamie Lecomte. Have to say hi to all of the Lecomte family members who are always watching the Torrent broadcasts. Hello, Paul. Kevin O'Connor says hello as well. Happy to have you back on board in 2026, as well as to have Jamie back on the roster. But home of the Brookfield Soccer Club and also Elmbrook United now. Brookfield has always produced great soccer teams, and the Division I championship ended up being between Brookfield East and Brookfield Central. And part of the storyline was Brookfield Central's keeper that year, on a challenge at that end of the pitch, got pushed into the wall. The ambulance had to actually come out to get the keeper because of running into that wall. And there was a question as to whether there was a concussion or not, but in the end, he recovered for the championship. Came back out. The championship came down to a shootout, and Brookfield Central was able to pull it off in part because of a save. And believe you me, as a Brookfield Central alum myself, the rivalry between the Lancers and the Spartans, the Brookfield Central Lancers and the Brookfield East Spartans, is hot and heavy. So one of the most hotly contested ever matches between Central and East in a rivalry that is almost unrivaled throughout the state of Wisconsin. Offside call against the Torrent in the 24th minute. And those are some of the stories that you have here at E-Line Soccer Park. And beyond just Obviously, ones that have meaning to me as a Central alum. You know, Aug Prep is a new high school in the Milwaukee area. There's actually going to be some expansion with Aug Prep. They have a campus on the near south side of Milwaukee, but they're expanding. The former Cardinal Stritch University campus is going to be Aug Prep North beginning next year. But they won their first state championship in any sport here in Division III a couple years ago. A lot of contact, and there's a push into that concrete wall. Liam Wasco looks like he's moving a little bit slowly as he gets up, and we're going to have some discussion between Alex Hofstetter and Thomas Giocaris, who has now committed a couple different fouls in this one. And Thomas, of course, carries that Giocaris name. Kerry Giocaris, the driving force behind the founding of the Green Bay Glory. Glory started with a women's side almost a decade ago now. It's not fun getting old. Everyone who's in the press box right now can confirm that. But they've since added a men's side, and the Giocaris name has been part of it. Kerry is here today. I had a chance to talk with her a little bit before the match. Foul against the Torrent. Free kick for the Glory. The Glory men's side came to be in part rising out of the ashes, to use that term again, from the Green Bay Voyageurs. And I have to say that with the effect, as we'll get a corner kick now for the Glory. It goes off the Torrent on the far side. First corner of the day for either side. It comes in the 26th minute, more than halfway through the first half. Looks like it's Josh Johansson who will go over to take that one for the Glory. You can see that corner flag whipping in the breeze. He will have the wind fully behind him on this corner, and it looks like he's going to try for an in-swinger. With that wind, will probably hold that ball up and push it away from the goal. Comes on, edge of the 6, headed away by the Torrent, now cleared away. Good defense for FC Milwaukee Torrent. It'll be a throw-in for the Glory, but it will come much further away from the goal line than that corner kick did. Again, it's not Voyageurs, it was Voyageurs, spelled with a U. Voyager. But they played at Capital City Credit Union Park. Contact in the box. We have a whistle, and are we going to have an indirect free kick in the box here? Let's see what the call is. Hand went up. Offside flag is up. We have offsides. Okay. Against the Glory. Wasn't apparent at first. The way that we saw Alex Hofstetter run in quickly, almost thought for a second there that we were going to have a foul of some sort against the Torrent in the box that would result in an indirect free kick in the box. Rare occurrence, but not unheard of, but he ran in that fast for an offside call, which you don't normally see. But the flag was up on the far side, and the indication that it was in the middle, so Glory had one man too far forward, and as a result, you see the Torrent working out of the back possession-wise. Glory played there for a while. They have since been playing more of their home games in Appleton at the Banta Bowl. But a culture of positivity for the Green Bay Glory, both on the men's and the women's side, and very invested, not just in the Green Bay community or the Appleton community, but the Fox Valley as a whole. And that's been the goal from the very beginning for Kerry Giocaris. And lengthy list of sponsors, good amount of involvement, and I want to be a little careful here when I talk about Green Bay. Everyone knows about the Packers and the influence that they have on that region. You do have the Green Bay Rockers baseball team, which still plays at Capital City Credit Union Park, but whistling a foul. That goes against the Torrent. Slight protest on the part of the offending player, Jamie Lecomte. But, and again, do not take this as a knock against Green Bay or the Fox Valley. But to be honest, in the summer, especially in Green Bay, other than training camp, sometimes there's just not a lot going on up there. And to have more entertainment options, sporting options, as it were, a good thing for that region. Of course, Appleton also has the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers. They also host the WIA State Baseball Championships in Appleton, so fun places, don't get me wrong, and great people. I love every chance I get to head up in that direction and have some friends in the northern part of the state. And everyone, I always like to say, everyone I have ever met from Appleton northward, among the friendliest people on the planet. But always good when you hear about there being more opportunities for people to do things in those parts of the world. And it's no surprise, too, when there's some successes. We do have a Torrent player down right now. Far side, hard challenge. Popping to his feet, though, after making some adjustments, is Brandon Kalp, who had the assist on the lone goal of the match back in the 15th minute. And he'll make the throw in. Think he just needed a moment to adjust after taking that foul. Can even talk about the Green Bay Blizzard. Of course, UW Green Bay, but those are events that happen in the winter. Green Bay basketball, even the spring sports up at Green Bay. You don't see soccer start until August at Aldo Santaga Stadium, as that ball is sent out into the parking lot by Thomas Giocaris, and I hope everyone out there has got a good insurance policy. Kevin O'Connor, our producer extraordinaire, pointing out that his car is more to the north, more to the south, whereas that one went kind of into the north half of the parking lot. Believe it or not, I mentioned that I have worked the WIA State Soccer Championships here. I still have on my station wagon that I am driving at the moment a soccer ball mark from a high clear that went up and over the stands at one WIA State Soccer Championship. It happens. Fortunately, it was a part of the car that didn't have any windows. Especially on windy days like these. And you see all conditions here. Some of the state soccer championships, they've had to clear snow off of the turf prior to the match. That's more on the boys' side, where the championships occur in November. On the girls' side, where the championships are in June, you have the other issue where there have been times where it's been above 90 degrees and they've had to take water breaks out here. That's been the case, too, sometimes with the Torrent when they've played over here where they've had hot conditions. And that turf does hold some heat. Ball into the box. Torrent able to clear it away. Up and over the top, and the wind takes that one as well. You can see that it's almost picking up speed as it heads to the end line. It heads over the end line, and it'll be a goal kick for the Glory. I think Utesh was concerned for a second. You can see a garbage can rolling around back behind the goal. Nothing but garbage, yeah. It's breezy, to say the least. Debris, speakers, goals, maybe even some of the youth players from closer to the south side. Might see one or two of them kind of blowing in the wind, rolling by at some point today. Glory have it in their defensive half right now. Over on the other half, and you'll see it in a moment as the Glory take the ball into the attacking half. Ball over the top. That's a pretty good ball looking for Giocaris. Hopping in the air, Taylor Pill. He is knocked down by Giocaris, and we've already had discussion with Giocaris. Whistle is blown. Contact with a player who, again, is in the air, and the official is saying, I've called you for this, I've called you for this, I've called you for this. Alex Hofstetter, our man in the middle, says, guess what? That's enough. Yellow card, Thomas Giocaris. Repeated violations.
Glory number 4, Thomas Giocaris. Yellow card, Glory, Giocaris.
The card comes in the 33rd minute. We have now advanced to the 34th minute, but you can't commit that many fouls and have them get progressively harder without at some point the official considering going to the book, and that's what happened for Thomas Giocaris there. So in the time where that booking happened, first off, we now have it appears to be a hot dog wrapper on the near side of the field that has made its way across the midfield stripe into an offside position, by the way. Hopefully that doesn't work against the Torrent. Don't see the flag go up for the hot dog wrapper, which is now up against the fence, by the way. Low cross. Comes from Isom. More of a square ball, really, than a cross, and sent out beyond the touchline. It'll be a throw-in for the Glory. Sosa Lucia gives it back to Gio Karras. Challenge on Picor. Torrent get possession back, but you can see if the Torrent get into the attacking half, there were two people, one of whom had a small, and I do mean small, dog on a pink leash, kind of up near the concession stand now, who, yeah, and that's a smart move on the part of whoever it was that had the dog, as my attention is slightly distracted from this nice run for the Torrent here. Nice little step-over move on the part of Lasso, but he can't control it, and it goes over the end line. And the person with the dog, I was worried for a second about that dog, because that dog looked like it was maybe 3-4 pounds, and good gust of wind, man. That dog could turn into a bird. And on a leash, it's not really a bird. It's more of a kite. But good to be back on the air. 36th minute. Dan Pfeiffer along with you. Ball played forward, and there you see the wind again. It knocks that ball down. Attempt at the cross, and that stays outside the 18. And good question. Shot on, off the crossbar and over. Best opportunity of the day for the Glory. It comes in the 36th minute. Clapping his hands and happy with the attempt is Sosa Lucia, and Kevin O'Connor, our producer, asking the question, okay, how much of an advantage do you think it is being on one end or the other? And it's a valid question, because you would think, your gut is to say, well, having the wind at your back is an advantage because it's just going to give you more strength. You have to make an adjustment really going both directions. And sometimes having that wind at your back, it means that you play balls too strong and then go too far forward. And it's not like the wind really helps you that much running. It's not quite strong enough such that it slows you down or speeds you up with it at your back or at your front. We're not talking about track and field here, where if we were having the long jump, the winds would perhaps negate any records that are set. And it's a good point, because if anything, you may want that wind to kind of knock balls down, although the Torrent, with the wind at their back, shot just wide of the mark on the part of Nathaniel Isom. Isom from Dayton, Ohio, a Bradley Brave. And about 90 seconds after a good opportunity for the Glory, Isom almost returns the favor on the part of the Torrent and makes it 2-0. Instead, it stays 1-0 on the strength of the 15th minute goal by Gabe Vaughan, assisted by Brandon Kopp. Ultimately, it's probably a wash. And certainly because each team gets the wind at their back for 45 minutes and goes into the wind for 45 minutes. And that's the whole idea behind the fact that you go one direction for one half of the match and the other direction for the other. But it's just a challenge in general because it's variable too. And we mentioned the weather showed it as 19 miles per hour, but gusts up to 36. You can hit a ball, you can hit a cross from the near side of the pitch, and you can think, okay, wind's a little stronger, and try and make an adjustment, and then that wind dies down all of a sudden, and that ball's off the mark. It's just something that happens while the ball is being played. That's a great ball over to the far side. Kaup trying to chase it down, and he can't save it before it goes out over the end line. And there again, too, you know, we talk about that back wall here on the north side at Eline Soccer Park. Yes, it's out of play, and it's out of play by a healthy 6 feet, but you still have to consider it if you've got a lot of momentum over there, and it may cause players to slow down a little bit as they head towards that back wall. So something to keep in mind. There are quirks. That's one of the things about soccer and I come from a baseball background originally. That was the sport that I played a lot when I was a kid, and goodness knows, if you're a fan of baseball, there's ivy on the walls at Wrigley Field. You got the Green Monster in Fenway Park. You used to have Tal's Hill back in the day at Minute Maid Park in Houston. The variables of a surface in baseball and at times in soccer, not as much anymore at the top levels. FIFA has insisted that pitches be in impeccable condition to be played upon. There's all kinds of action being taken at various facilities around Canada, America, and Mexico at this time to ensure that there are good grass surfaces for the upcoming World Cup. They're actually raising the surface as the Torrent play a ball beyond the end line over at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, which will have to be called Dallas Stadium for sponsorship reasons. The insistence of FIFA, but to ensure views are as good as they can be, and then they're going to be putting a grass surface on top of the turf that is usually there for the Cowboys and the state high school football championships in Dallas and everything else that goes on down at Jerry World. But you see variables, and that's part of the fun too about watching when you watch lower level soccer in England and some of the muddy surfaces. You watch the video even too of what the surfaces were like in the 70s and 80s back in the day before there was a Premier League in England, playing on surfaces that look like mud pits. By the end of the match, it got hard to tell who was who because the guys were so covered in mud and dirt, some of those matches. There is still some of that here in Wisconsin in college soccer, and one of the things I like to talk about at Engelman Stadium, home of the Milwaukee Panthers, and we've mentioned with the likes of Chiappa, the Panther presence out here. He's always been a consistent presence on the Torrent from UWM. At Engelman Stadium, which is right smack dab in the middle of the Milwaukee campus. Good challenge on the ball by Gio Karras, and look at that ball just hang up in the wind. It gets a little backspin on it, and my goodness, that wind just keeps that ball up in the air. 50-50 ball won by the Torrent. Good work by Rodrigo Lasso. At Engelman Stadium, there is a tree on the northwest side of the pitch, right next to Engelman Hall, part of what gives the stadium its name. It was once Engelman Field. It is now Laura Moynihan Field at Engelman Stadium, named for former women's coach Laura Moynihan. And Michael Moynihan was also a coach with the Panthers for quite a while. Ball played forward, Torrent inside the 18, played back outside by Lopez. Chip into the middle, cleared away by Gio Karras. Let's see if the Glory can counter. Instead, the Torrent slow things down momentarily. But it is taken back by the Glory. Zanfori trying to take it down the pitch with a dribble. Hard challenge. Zanfori goes down, but no whistle from Alex Hofstetter on the challenge by Lecomte. Zanfori still down. Glory still with possession. Zanfori struggling to get up, and at this point, he's not going to get anything in terms of a call. Hofstetter not even looking in that direction. Zanfori still struggling, though. Ball played forward into the wind by the Glory. Niame able to run it down. Ball sent out by the Torrent. But there's a tree that right next to Engelman Hall that hangs right over the pitch, and it's in play. I mean, the branches of the tree, no more than 7-8 feet off the ground, inbounds. And it's just part of the natural lay of the land there at UWM, and balls go into the tree all the time. Hard challenge, foul. This will be a good set-piece opportunity for the Glory. Picor drew it. 19-on-19 crime as it's Ronaldo Lopez who rises up, and Lopez will be booked. Comes in the 44th minute.
Yellow card, number 19, Ronaldo Lopez, FC Milwaukee Torrent. Yellow card, 19, Lopez, Torrent.
So the booking is one thing, but the fact that the Glory will have a set piece from 25 yards out is another. and it will come almost straight on to the goal and Chiappa. Chiappa currently on the far post, deciding how many players he wants to put into the wall. This is a science on the part of a keeper. And you usually go with more players when you're at this kind of an angle. They're going with a 3-man wall for now. It is sometimes recommended from this angle that you go with 4 or as many as 5, but Chiappa feels confident with 3. Sosa Lecia, wearing the captain's armband, lines it up, sends it towards goal, and puts it in! Around the corner, around the country. And the Glory get the equalizer in the 45th minute, we should say, on the set-piece goal by Sosa Lecia. And I'm going to take some of the blame for that one because I may have jinxed FC Milwaukee Torrent by talking about how many men were in the wall.
Goal, Green Bay Glory, number 10, Kevin Sosa-Lecia.
Because that's why you put 4 or 5 into the wall. Hate to say it, but it's true. That ball didn't have a lot of height on it. It was into the wind. So the wind knocked it down. But it was dead on perfect for Sosa Lecia. We are now into stoppage time in this first half. Didn't see an indication as to just how much. But it is now 1-1. As the Glory get the equalizer on the set piece from 25 yards out. Was a foul against the Glory. Substitution for the Glory. Here at the end of the first half, Voulgaris comes off. Michael Voulgaris is replaced by Seth Schroeder. (1-1) your tally. Again, we are into stoppage time here in the first half. Cleared out beyond the touchline. We'll keep our eyes on official Alex Hofstetter. That was one of those instances where, and not to dwell too much on my own commentary, but I have the opportunity every summer to spend 2 weeks actually working at a goalkeeper camp called Camp Shutout. As we do get the whistle to conclude the first half, we will talk more about the nature of set pieces and how many men to put in the wall and some of what they spend an entire session at Camp Shutout talking about in terms of placement, adjustments, all of those different things. And we're not trying to be too critical of Chiappa here. Every keeper has a different way of doing it. But one of the things they teach every year at Camp Shutout is how many people to put in the wall, different times, different places. And Chiappa there decided to go with the 3-man wall. And in the end, Sosa Lecia was able to curl it around that 3-man wall, and the positioning of Chiappa was such that he couldn't get to it, and that's why the Glory have equalized against the Torrent. It is 1-1 as we make our way to the second half. We'll talk more about what we saw in the first half in just a little while. But first, we're going to take a quick break. This is FC Milwaukee Torrent Soccer and the USASA Amateur Cup. time here at Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium and Eline Soccer Park in Milwaukee. FC Milwaukee Torrent 1, Green Bay Glory 1. One goal for each side, one booking for each side as well. Thomas Giocaris booked for the Glory in the 33rd minute. Ronaldo Lopez booked for the Torrent in the 44th minute. And it was that Lopez booking that resulted in the equalizing goal for the Glory. Kevin Sosa Lacia on a set piece from 25 yards out, curls it around the wall and into the back of the net beyond the outstretched arms of Nick Chiappa to make it 1-1 after Gabe Vaung scored the first goal for FC Milwaukee Torrent on a nice low cross from Brandon Kaup back in the 15th minute. And, back on the topic of those set pieces, there's a chart even that they give the kids at Camp Shutout where they have angles and distances and show how many players, at least the way they teach it at Camp Shutout, you should be positioning in different spots depending upon the set piece. And at least from what I know from the Camp Shutout chart, that one would call for 5, and that's kind of what I'm going off of in my head. But again, different keepers, different situations. Chiappa thought the 3 was enough in that situation, but you also have to adjust and say, okay, if I am positioning this many players, here is how I'm going to adjust if the set piece goes here, or if it goes over the top, or if it heads towards the upper left corner, however it may be. And in that instance, Chiappa, with the ball going into the wind, and Sosa Lacia might have even made the adjustment with the wind to say, okay, if I hit a spinner towards the far post, I know that wind's going to hold that ball up, and there's a good chance that it's going to carry it back towards the goal. Hey, it was a well-struck ball on the part of Sosa Lacia. And the result is the Glory and the Torrent are level at 1. Now, given that this is a cup match, I would have to believe that if this is still level at the end of 90 minutes, we will either have added extra time or we will head to the penalty spot. We may even have both, if that's the case, to decide who advances in this USASA Amateur Cup Region 2 quarterfinal. Obviously, both coaches, both sides, hoping that it doesn't get to that point. Still a lot of time left in this one, but remember the Torrent will be going into the wind in the second half, whereas the Glory will have the wind at their back. Both teams were able to score in the first half, with the Glory going into the wind and the Torrent with the wind at their back. We'll have to see in the second half if that plays in on this gusty day here at Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium, where I will admit I did not wear enough hairspray. My hair is all over the place. We've got an open window here. You can hear the wind kind of rushing and gusting into my microphone even on my headset. It is that kind of day here in Milwaukee. But we'll come back in just a little while with second half action as we try and decide who will advance in this Region 2 quarterfinal of the USASA Amateur Cup between FC Milwaukee Torrent and Green Bay Glory. At the half, it is level at 1. This is FC Milwaukee Torrent Soccer and the USASA Amateur Cup. USASA Amateur Cup action. Both teams ready to go here in the second half on this gusty day at Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium and Eline Soccer Park. Teams ready to go, however, our officials taking their time coming back from the locker room and the facilities here at Eline Soccer Park. Would have been kind of funny if both teams had just said, hey, let's kick off. Officials? Why do we need officials? Just call things ourselves. In fact, I have actually had the opportunity. Soccer is not the only sport that I call games for and do work with. It has been a fairly regular thing for the Division III Collegiate Ultimate Frisbee Championships to be held here at Eline Soccer Park. They have to set out special markings for that when the Ultimate Championships come into town. And it is a bit of a challenge with those Ultimate Championships, given how windy it can get out here at Eline Soccer Park. But not uncommon for that to be a thing here. And Ultimate Frisbee, the reason I bring that up, is a sport that there are observers, which are ultimately akin to officials, that will settle disputes, but it is a self-officiated sport, even at the highest levels. It is part of the culture of the sport that players will call their own fouls. Although the way that the sport is nowadays, the observers, even though they aren't officially officials, as it were, they are involved quite often in terms of helping settle some of this disputes. But even when the observers get involved in Ultimate Frisbee, as we do get things back underway here in the second half, the players use a series of hand signals when they're talking about what happened with the call in order to even show the crowd what they're talking about as part of the discussion to help the observer discern whether or not there was a foul. So, Ultimate is a unique sport, and the culture is such that it is very inclusive. At the D3 level, it's not a varsity sport at the majority of schools, any level of college. One of the top programs, and we talk about the unique culture of Ultimate. You have Middlebury College, which is the home of the Panthers, but most of the Ultimate teams, because they are club teams, not varsity teams, they actually don't take the nicknames of their school. They have their own unique nicknames. So while Middlebury is the Panthers, their Ultimate teams are known as the Pranksters. There is an Ultimate Frisbee team at Marquette University. They are not known as the Golden Eagles. They go by the Marquette Birdcage. Don't ask me why. It's just a thing in Ultimate. And not only that, Middlebury has traditionally had one of the best Division III programs, Ultimate-wise, men's and women's. And difficult situation for the Torrent there, as Chiappa has to come to the edge of the 18 and has to judge the ball in the wind in order to not get charged with a handball outside of the box. He chooses to use his head, as he's not sure exactly where he's going to make contact with the ball. But back to the discussion of Ultimate Frisbee culture. So the Division III championships, when they come to Milwaukee, it's both the men's and women's championships. But Middlebury, each year, the teams insist, not necessarily vehemently, but it's part of their tradition, that not only, and Ultimate as a sport, it's somewhat like cross country. You're running the whole time. There are subs that come on and off, but there are some players that like soccer players in a match will sometimes put on 7, 8, 9, 10 miles in a match. Ultimate, there's even more running because it's constant motion. And on top of that, the Middlebury Pranksters, and as mentioned, it's the men's and women's championships both that come through. On an annual basis, their men's and women's teams will come together, cross, low, deflected in the box by the Glory. Kaup trying to keep it on, but it goes over the end line, and we'll have a goal kick for the Glory. So the men's and women's ultimate teams from Middlebury, which again are some of the top programs in the country, get together and they choreograph a halftime show dance that the players do every single time they play. Men's or women's, the men's team comes out to support the women's team. The women's team comes out to support the men's team. It's the players. It's every single player on the team. The year that they came to Milwaukee and I had a chance to work the event, the song that year was Body by Loud Luxury. The whole team comes out there. It was a whole choreographed production. All the members of both teams, and they did it every single time either team played. Can you imagine if Andy Davi walked out onto the pitch and led the Torrent in a dance routine at halftime? And just think about that for a moment if you're an FC Milwaukee Torrent fan as we get a goal kick for the Glory here. Andy Davi walking under the booth right now, staring up at me. I'm hoping he's not hearing this conversation. Ball over the top, and that's a good ball. Gio Karras comes underneath it, one touch, and his shot is well high and wide of the mark. But the Glory, early on here in this second half, to bring things back in from our discussion of Ultimate Frisbee, using that win to their advantage. We're seeing that they're playing a lot of balls over the top, trying to see if they can just get a ball past the Torrent, outrun them, and create a 1v1 or numbers situation. There's a attempt to play out of the back on the part of Chiappa, but the Glory get possession back. Now they have it at the edge of the 18. Dangerous opportunity for the Glory. Ball played into the middle. Schroeder, the substitute, off the crossbar. He'll get it back off the attempted clearance. Contact in the box. And the ruling is a foul against the Glory. Now, hold on. They're going to say it was a goal. So while there was the contact, we saw the official Alex Hofstetter come over, and I am watching this back now. In the meantime, after the contact, shot was taken from the far side on and in. I was focused on the contact. Meanwhile, the play continued. And it is a goal for the Glory to make it 2-1. It was Niame who scored the goal, and the goal comes in the 51st minute. A lot happening in a short span of time, but the Glory get a goal out of it. And there have been a couple times today where Alex Hofstetter has run to a situation but ultimately made a call unrelated to the situation, and that's a little unusual for a referee. So with that and the breeze and everything going on, tough to tell in the moment. Some interesting breakdancing on the part of Kevin Sosalacia, who had the first goal for the Glory near the end of the first half. But the Glory, ultimately, if you put it together, that first goal for them came in the 45th minute. This goal, albeit after halftime, for Niame in the 51st minute. Ball played to the near side. Kaup pushed down. That has an impact on his attempted cross. He can't spin it across the face of the goal. It instead goes beyond the end line on the near side of the near post. And as a result, we'll have a goal kick for the Green Bay Glory. A couple substitutes now at the touchline for FC Milwaukee Torrent as they find themselves down for the first time today, and we'll have to try and change things up. Nathaniel Isom heads over to the touchline. He will come off. He is joined by Ronaldo Lopez. Coming on for FC Milwaukee Torrent, you see Zinedine Kroten. New face out there for FC Milwaukee Torrent. Didn't catch the second substitute right away. Whistling a foul against the Glory. And you heard the coaching staff on the far side with a simple message for the Torrent attack. 2 words: wake up. Hard challenge. Torrent get possession. Vaughn. He had the goal early in the match that put the Torrent up 1-0. They now find themselves down to the near side lasso. And all of a sudden with the Glory with the lead in this match, it's not all fun and games and ultimate Frisbee team dance routines anymore here. Into the box, cleared away by the Glory. Once, then twice. Losing his footing, in part perhaps because of the wind. Espinoza, that's Angel Gongora. He starts the Torrent attack. Like Compt, shot along the ground, saved by Utesh. Utesh calms things down for the Glory. Is now with the lead for the first time today. The Glory get to take a completely different approach. They wanted to get a goal early. You could tell that they were on the attack. Again, sailing so many balls over the top. Ultimately, it was play in short spaces, and the Torrent got a little distracted, I think, there, as we did here in the box, by the situation involving the contact near where the shot ended up being taken by Niame. Ball goes all the way back to Chiappa, and the Torrent content to work out of the back again. Liam Wasco sees that go out off the Glory. Throw in for the Torrent and Taylor Pill. Seeing a comment on the YouTube stream that the announcer is dying to play some Ultimate Frisbee. Well, if I tried to play Ultimate Frisbee, I would die. I could not run that much. I probably couldn't run a quarter mile nowadays. I did play back in middle school. It was a thing that we did not only in gym class, but we would do every once in a while as a cross-country team. Fun sport. Non-contact sport in theory. There is incidental contact, but it does result in fouls. You know what I miss a little bit? The old ABC Wide World of Sports would show stuff like Ultimate Frisbee and sports from around the world. Of course, the name that comes to mind, other than, say, Jim McKay for the Wide World of Sports, is Victor Bogatai, as the Torrent have it at the edge of the 18, trying to make moves. Lasso ends up getting dispossessed. Now the Glory try and go on the counter. Well offside is Schroeder. Flag goes up. Torrent will get possession back. Victor Bogatai, the most well-known figure from the Wide World of Sports from the intro to the show. He was the ski jumper who had the very unfortunate video that was part of the intro for Wide World of Sports for most of its existence, where he ended up going off the end of the ski jump in an event in Europe, and let's just say he went skis overhead, which is not the way you want to go. It was always accompanied with the music, too, that kind of had the swell of tragedy with it. The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Torrent are offside. Or, correction, Glory are offside. Good sportsmanship on the part of the Glory, though. Helping their competitors to their feet. One of the fun things, too, about the Wide World of Sports, there was always the one time every year that they would show the Harlem Globetrotters, too. We're just hitting on every sport here. First match of the season. On a busy day here at Eline Soccer Park, seeing some of the youth soccer players who are here today. Meandering on the far side of the pitch, ball played forward. Nice sliding challenge by Taylor Pill. He's able to clear it away momentarily, though the Glory do get it back. And that is a optimistic shot from distance by Sosa Lucia. As good as his set piece was in the first half, that one well off the mark. All the way back to those garbage cans, which have been blowing around in the breeze on that north side hill here at Eline Soccer Park. Although you do see a number of folks over there as we have more substitutes now for FC Milwaukee Torrent. Max Ludwig, player coach, comes on. Jamie Lecomte comes off. The German national, Ludwig, attended UW Parkside. Torrent on the move. Ball played back. Gongora to the near side. Kaup. Back to Gongora. Crossed over to the far side, and there you see the wind take that ball. And that's the direction the wind is blowing. All that the substitute, Gio Diaz, can do is try and get ahead on it, but Diaz, sized a little bit more like me, littler guy, couldn't control it, and it goes out. Throw in for the Glory, although the Torrent get possession back just that quickly. Nice back heel. Short, square ball near side, Vaughn. Back to Kaup and a reverse of the first goal for the Torrent. Further to the near side, Ludwig looking for a window. Thought about taking the shot, instead keeps it with the dribble. Plays a very, very short pass to Gongora, who gives it right back to Ludwig. To the near side, Lasso. Further to the near side, Vaughn. A lot of Torrent players getting touches this possession. Cleared away finally by the Glory, and now they'll look to counter. Good challenge. Does catch a little bit of the legs of Schroeder, the substitute for the Glory. No call, though. Ludwig tries to play a square ball, but it's taken away by the Glory, and now they will try and counter. Torrent do have men back. Glory, though, still on the run. Not much of a challenge until that point. Now we'll get a shot from distance. It skips along the ground, but it is fielded by Chiappa. I believe that's Gio Karras on the far side, and it is. 61st minute. FC Milwaukee Torrent took a 1-0 lead in the 15th minute, but the Glory got the equalizer in the 45th on a Sosa Lucia set piece. And then it was Dennis Niame. After a lot of contact, the ball came out to Niame, and Niame finishes from an angle about 12 yards out. And that's why the Glory have a 2-1 lead. And that was a great ball forward. Glory maintained possession. Coming forward, Johansson makes a move. Left-footed shot. Saved by Chiappa. Second shot off the Torrent. No. Third shot. Wide of the mark. A shooting gallery for the Glory. But the Torrent rise to the occasion. Niame had the second of those shots. Rattled it hard off Liam Wasco. Wasco back up on his feet, now making a move out wide. He'll actually take the ball here. He's got no one around him, so he can take it forward with the dribble. 3 straight shots for the Glory, but the Torrent come up big on all 3. 1 saved, 1 blocked, 1 goes wide. That's another good through ball, though. Chasing it down is Schroeder for the Glory. He waits for his teammates to catch up. Niame at an angle. Sees a window. Shot was deflected by Pill. And that slows it down enough for Chiappa to make yet another save. Glory may be up a goal, but they have not eased up on the attack. They'd like some insurance. Torrent have to get something organized and fast here. They have had opportunities on the day, but in the finishing third, only one has truly materialized. They're going to need more than that if they want to advance in the USASA Amateur Cup this year. Whistle, foul. That'll get called against the Torrent. It is Croton who commits the foul. We have Brandon Kaup, who is down. He may just be adjusting or tying his shoe as well near midfield. believe that's Zenfuri that went down for the Glory. We'll confirm that, but he's back on his feet. Kaup heads towards the touchline. He's got I believe he took his boot off. Holding something in his hands, a piece of equipment, boot, shin guard, can't really identify it from this far away. He'll head off and he'll be replaced for the Torrent. Jonathan Moreno is who comes on for Brandon Kaup, Venezuelan native. Ball goes out over the goal line on another very direct ball by the Green Bay Glory. And the style of play for the Glory between the first half and the second half. Glory really tried to keep things on the ground and play a countering style in the first half going into the Wind. Here in the second half, if they were any more direct, they'd be a straight arrow. That's a misplay on the part of Johansson. Ball goes under his foot and goes out over the touchline. He'll apologize to his teammates as he gets set to defend off the throw-in. Ludwig has space, not yet challenged. Through ball, hangs up in the wind, comes down to Vong. Vong's got a lot of space. He'll take it towards the edge of the 18. Looks towards a teammate. One touch, well defended by the Glory. Goes out over the end line, but we'll get our first corner kick of the day for FC Milwaukee Torrent. It took them 65 minutes to get it, but now they'll try and capitalize and see if they can get an equalizer. Good sequence there for the Torrent going into the Wind, keeping the ball along the ground and just taking what the Glory were giving them, and they gave them space almost all the way into the 18-yard box. Small corner, it comes to Vong. He'll play it back to the corner taker, who is Lasso. He'll ricochet a shot off of Pecor. It goes out beyond the touchline. We'll get a throw in for the Torrent. It'll be taken by Ludwig. Not going to lie, it took us about 50 minutes to take this match seriously, but it's become a good one here in this early season showdown, USASA Amateur Cup, between the Torrent and the Glory. And I think that second goal really made reality set in for the Torrent. The first one came right before the half. Easy to absorb that one into your halftime discussion as an equalizer, and it came off of a set piece, so it wasn't necessarily something where there was a build. Possession was pretty much 50-50 in the first half. Glory now on the counter. Cross in front of the goal, lifted up and over the goal. Oh, and Dennis Niame is frustrated with himself as he had a lot of string in front of him, but instead the ball skies over the goal, backspin from his foot. Oh, and he's going to have nightmares about a shot like that. That was almost goal number 3 for the Glory in the 67th minute, and Niame just didn't make good contact. Great ball forward. Great opportunity for the Glory. Ultimately, that's what it breaks down to. Even though possession has been fairly even in this match, a lot of contact. We'll get a foul. Hard foul on the part of Gio Karras. He's already on a yellow. He puts his hands up right away to say, hey, shoulder to shoulder, I understand. It's definitely a foul, but I had to make the challenge there. Not worthy of a booking either. Understandable. Part of the game. The repeated violations earlier were what got Gio Karras the booking, but that was more a good, hard, competitive foul. A foul nonetheless, but certainly nothing cynical or overly aggressive. But it does give the Torrent a set-piece opportunity going into the Wind here. Ludwig, he'll play it short. Gongora, back to Ludwig. Small ball forward. Croton plays it back. Torrent kind of trying to establish some space here. Far side, Wasco. Diaz on as a substitute. He'll send a cross in. Punched away by Utesh. Comes to Ludwig. Ludwig finds space. Curls a ball on and in. Max Ludwig. Equalizer. 68th minute. It's 2-2. Ludwig on as a substitute, and that was a pretty ball, calculated with the breeze. Just enough curl to go off the far post and bounce into the net. We are level at 2 in this USASA Amateur Cup Region 2 quarterfinal, thanks to the efforts of the veteran Torrent player Max Ludwig. Really nothing Utesh could do about that one. He didn't even take a step. He just turned and looked and hoped that it was going wide. And ultimately, Ludwig placed that perfectly. Good ball forward. Might be this quick for the Glory, but a great save by Chiappa. Johansson 1v1 against Chiappa. Chiappa now goes down in the goal. Question about whether or not Johansson was onside. Remember, level is on. But after that challenge, Chiappa went right into the goal and went down. Now, after he goes down, he gets up, he gets back on his feet, and he has a long discussion with Alex Hofstetter. And he might be trying to make the claim that, yes, Chiappa was offside. As the wind continues to pick up here. I'm looking at the flags over on the main building for Eline Soccer Park, and they've got the Canadian and Mexican flags up along with the American flag as part of the upcoming World Cup. Good on them for that, as well as a USA Soccer flag, but they are starched in the breeze, and you can hear the wind. That is how much it is blowing right now. Trying to establish space, Sosa Lucia playing the ball backwards to himself. Sliding challenge on the part of J.J. Espinoza. Ball goes out. It will be a corner kick for the Glory, although this is directly into the wind. So we'll see how the Glory choose to attack this one. They don't have anyone short right now. It's going to take one heck of an effort to get this one close to the goal. They go with the low line drive, and understandably, all that Sosa Lucia can do is try and put a touch on it. And Andy Davi, Mr. Do-It-All for FC Milwaukee Torrent, including owning the franchise, also acting as ball boy behind the goal right now. Good throw on the part of Mr. Davi. Probably sitting with those garbage cans to make sure they don't keep blowing around. 71st minute, 2-2 match. Goals in both halves for both sides. Each side also has an equalizer. Torrent calmly building, but able to take the ball into the attacking half. The edge of the 18 extended. Now just at the edge of the 18. Low cross, no one on the other end, cleared away by the Glory. And now they'll look to counter. Hard challenge, no whistle. Surprising, coming from behind. Torrent get it back, but it's only momentarily. Dispossessed. Moreno, contact, Johansson, and after all of that, Moreno will be shown yellow. Jonathan Moreno on as a substitute for FC Milwaukee Torrent. Shown a booking, or given a booking, or put his name into the book, or however it is you want to phrase it, in the 72nd minute. Maybe writing a book. You can find that on Amazon sometime in the near future. Jonathan Moreno, Why I Love Playing for the Milwaukee Torrent. Maybe an essay, maybe a blog. Nonetheless, before he can consider becoming a scribe, now he has to worry about being out on yellow. Last thing either side want, with both Gio Caris and Moreno currently on the pitch with a booking, would be to go down a man this late in the match. Speaking of Moreno, he's the one who takes possession. Gives it up to Ludwig, who scored the equalizing goal for the Torrent just a little while ago. But a nice defensive play on that far side. I believe that's Patrick Berter, who snuck on for the Green Bay Glory as a substitute. They also have one standing at the midfield stripe right now. Torrent do get possession back. Ludwig, good through ball. Looking for Vaughan. Finding Vaughan. Just outside the 18. Vaughan with options. Plays it to the edge of the 18. Ludwig. Nice ball. Vaughan 1v1 against the keeper. They try and take away the angle. He plays a ball towards the middle, but unable to get good contact is Croton, and all he does is just barely get a foot on it as Utesh hops on the ball in the 6. And boy, the Torrent had a lot of good looks right there, but just couldn't get the finish. They'll keep trying to build, though. The Torrent have really had some good things working over the course of the last few minutes. Ball skied up. Way off his line is Utesh. Opportunity for Vaughan if he could get possession. He couldn't get it cleanly, though. It's played back out. Ludwig inside the 18, now played back outside the 18. New face out there for the Torrent right now. That is Chris Quezada. Part of a strong Madison College contingent for FC Milwaukee Torrent on their currently constituted roster. Moreno, challenged by Sosa Lucia. Moreno gets a second opportunity, plays it wide. Vaughan, edge of the 18. Very, very briefly had an angle, but it was taken away quickly. Croton. Gongora. Over to the far side. The pleading from the bench is to continue moving and rotating the ball. Perhaps a sense that the Glory are starting to tire. Right there, that was Gio Karras, who played a ball really without much purpose, and it was taken away by the Torrent. Ludwig sent back. Wasco to the far side. Diaz. Edge of the 18, under control, patient, plays it back. Ludwig again. 1-2 ball, back to Ludwig. Ball played to the near side and Vaughan. They take away his right foot. He'll play across with the left foot, but it's Utesh reading it. And if anything, as close as that cross came from the goal line, Utesh was really the only one who had the opportunity to do anything with it. Glory quickly back into the attacking half, played backwards by Schroeder. Sent to the opposite side of the pitch by Johansson. Torrent get possession. With this win, both teams are now kind of settling in, and also late in the match as, again, the energy level might be starting to dip just a shade. Of course, nowadays, soccer, a 365 and 1/4 day a year sport, so it's not like there's really an off season anymore, but again, still kind of trying to get some legs back after the spring season. Ball played wide of the mark by Diaz, but they say that it was touched by the Glory, so we will have a corner kick for the Torrent in the 77th minute. Substitute will come on for the Glory. Still hear that wind just whistling. And it will be the back, at the back of the corner taker here, Croton. That was Berter who came off for the Glory. Essentially free substitution here in this Amateur Cup match. I believe that's a number 17. I do not have a 17 on the roster I was given from the Glory. Ball played into the middle. One touch for Espinoza, but it goes over the top. Espinoza bites his hand in frustration that he didn't get a better touch there, but it was a good opportunity for him. Looking at my roster, and no, not seeing a number 17 on my roster. So, unnamed Green Bay player, also known as that guy. Early season. Again, both of these teams not yet into league play, so still, yeah, constituting their rosters, even having some guys on trial. So who you see today on the pitch may not be who you see this season for either of these sides. Coming off for the Glory is Johansson. Another substitute comes on. Straight onto the pitch for the Glory. Aiden Merica Jones. Whistle, foul, hard foul, yellow card comes out. And it will be shown to the Glory and Kevin Sosa Lacia. Sosa Lacia now with a goal and a booking in the match. The booking comes in the 79th minute. Still down for the Torrent is Moreno. He is also on yellow. No vengeance there. Hard foul is part of the run of play, but a hard enough foul that Alex Hofstetter pulls out his card. Ludwig on the restart for the Torrent. For an early season match like this, there have been some hard challenges. Nothing cynical, though. Although, as we say that, fairly hard shove on the part of Bordini at the end line, and it will result in a free kick for the Torrent. And a silly foul there against Bordini, really, because the ball was headed towards the end line. No need. If anything there, you try to allow the Torrent player to have to make an athletic play. Ball in the box. Too far forward was Utesh at first after he punched it, but fortunately it was tapped back to him and he was able to go backwards and retrieve the ball. As a keeper, when you're picking up the ball when you are facing the goal, you are having nervous moments. Ball played forward, offside, and then we have a collision after the offside call. But a nice handshake, good sportsmanship between Schroeder and Chiappa. Part of the game sometimes. Seth Schroeder, a ripping Red Hawk. Chiappa, of course, at the D1 level at UWM. Different levels, still a lot of respect. Ball forward, wanting the offside call was Nogenga. He didn't get it. Didn't look like the Torrent player was offside. Now the Torrent working in short spaces. Ball played over to the near side, looking for Vaughan. That one is too far for Vaughan. And again, on this day, keep in mind, even though the wind is blowing from left to right, it is also blowing from the far side of your screen to the near side. So a pass like that, also impacted by the wind, even though it's more truly east-west rather than north-south. We should say west-east. In terms of the actual cardinal directions, great challenge. Kongora over the ball, plays a fall forward. And just a misplay on the part of Ludwig. It's played back to the keeper by the Glory. And, talk about balls that you're going to see in your nightmares. That's going to be one for Max Ludwig, as if he just gets a better first touch. He's got a lot of empty goal in front of him. Just has to try and slot that past Utesh. We're into the 82nd minute, still level at 2. There have been opportunities both teams have capitalized on, but also opportunities that both teams want back. Again, early season. Both teams making the adjustments. Very early in the Amateur Cup even, and finals will be later on in the summer. Skied cross. Onside, Schroeder. But he can't do much with it. It goes out beyond the end line, and we'll have a goal kick for the Torrent. Two-two. 83rd minute. Ball played over to the far side. Aggressive run. Contact from behind, and the card's going to come out for that contact as well. It'll be a booking in the 84th minute. Try and get an idea on that number. Can't see that far right now. Clearly from behind, it goes against number 9 for the Green Bay Glory. That is a substitute, Abraham Navarro. Anytime there's a situation like that where the player is clearly behind the player they're fouling, a yellow becomes part of the consideration, and Navarro earned that one. Ball forward. Nice touch on the part of Toten. Cross into the middle. The only player there is wearing a black and purple hued top. Goes out beyond the touchline, though. Throw in for the Torrent. Marleno finds Gongora. Gongora takes it to the middle of the field. Looking around. Not really seeing any movement from his teammates at this point. Far side, Vaung. There was contact against Wasco. He's still down. Wanted a foul call, didn't get it. Vaung, edge of the 18. Did it go off the Glory? Referee is pointing to a spot. Now we'll get the indication that it is a goal kick. It is one of my occasional complaints about the ancient art of soccer officiating, which is that every call is essentially the referee pointing someplace. And sometimes, as you saw in that instance, it's very difficult to tell if the referee is pointing to, say, the penalty spot or the corner or where a foul occurred or perhaps just a bird in the sky. There, our referee, Alex Hofstetter, pointed in a direction that was about halfway between the goal and the corner. And if he points at the goalie, it's a goal kick. If he points at the corner, it's a corner kick. Arm was kind of halfway up in the air. Usually it's a little bit higher for a corner kick. Usually it's lower for a goal kick. In the words of a character from South Park, I have no idea what's going on. Nonetheless, it did turn into a goal kick for the Glory, although the Torrent have possession back. Hard challenge. Whistle, foul, free kick for the Torrent. Foul was committed by Schroeder upon J.J. Espinoza. Glory stood over the ball. Did not allow for the quick restart on the part of the Torrent. Clock continues to roll with now 86 minutes gone in this match. Substitution for the Glory. Giocaris comes off once again. Ludwig, restart. Takes it back on the 1-2. Now plays it back over to Gongora. Gongora loses it. And now the Glory look to go on the break. Short ball, Sosa Lecia. Again, the unnamed player number 17 for the Green Bay Glory goes out beyond the touchline, and some disbelief on the part of Angel Gongora, as even though it was played out by Mr. number 17, the Glory get the throw in. Gongora couldn't believe that there was even any consideration that he touched the ball, but the linesman on the near side does give possession to the Glory. Cross, edge of the 18, cleared away by the Torrent. And now taken on the far side by Wasco. He'll send it further to the far side, Gabe Vaung. Vaung was playing on the left side at the start of this half. Now he's up top on the right side, kind of at more of a midfield position at this moment too. Plays a ball forward that is taken by Quezada, edge of the 18, well marked. Looks backwards, plays a ball back. Now sent over towards the near side. Ludwig, who had the equalizing goal for the Torrent, chipped to the far side. That'll curl, and you could see the wind take that ball. It didn't look like it was threatening at first, but all of a sudden, Utesh saw the wind take that ball towards the far post and said, I better come out and get this just in case. An interesting ball because, again, it was both slowed down by the wind and pushed towards the goal. So normally, at least from the way the ball came off of his foot, it would go well wide of the mark and probably over the goal line. But instead, it started to move towards the post, and I think Utesh got a little scared. Now the Glory coming back the other direction. 89th minute. We will have stoppage time. We may have extra time. Cleared by the Torrent. It does cross over the plane of the touch line, so it will be a throw-in for the Glory. Dan Pfeiffer with you on this breezy Sunday afternoon. Shot from distance, up and over the top of the crossbar, but not the worst effort on the part of the Glory. Good idea, considering the conditions. You never know what's going to happen with this breeze. Taken by the unmentionable name of number 17. Not because the name is unmentionable, because we don't know it. He who shall not be named. He'll be over the ball again as the Glory get possession after a brief run by the Torrent. Scrap for possession by Wasco on the far side. Wasco goes down on the far side. Some contact there. Beyond the touchline, though, it'll be a throw-in for the Glory. 90th minute. Looking more and more like this one's going to come to a 2-2 finish at the end of regulation. Throw in, touched once, touched twice by Sosa Licia, who both has a goal and a booking. Ball played back. Sent well forward by Bordini, headed backwards. Pill, lots of room in front of him. He'll play a ball to the near side. That is Choi Ramirez Pabon, and we talked about him at the very start of the game. Presence for the Torrent from Wisconsin Lutheran College. It's taken away, though, by the Glory. We are into stoppage time. Schroeder into the middle. Well, misstep on the part of Sosa Licia. Then he's taken down. Play on, says our referee Alex Hofstetter after the challenge by Quezada. Glory still with possession. Slow to get back to his feet is Sosa Licia. Far side. Good challenge by the Torrent. Knoten. He's the one who dispossesses the Glory. He's over the ball again. Dealing with the defense. Now he plays the ball to a safe spot. Towards the near side, and Ramirez Pabon. Choi Ramirez Pabon. Hopefully excited to play for new head coach Steve Bodie at Wisconsin Lutheran College. And Steve is a longtime friend of mine. I was almost more excited for Wisconsin Lutheran than for Steve. And I was plenty excited for Steve because they got a winner in Bodie. Ball played forward. Maybe an opportunity for a shot from distance there for Ramirez Pabon that he chose to pass on. Ramirez Pabon really stirs the drink for that Wisconsin Lutheran side, and he's going to be a good player for Steve Bodie. The Bodie name, long history in local soccer. Played for UWM, part of the Louis Bennett coaching tree. Edge of the 18, taken away by the Glory. Good defense. When I saw that Wisconsin Lutheran had signed Steve Bodie as their head coach, I was just, I lit up like a Christmas tree, happy for the Warriors, happy for Steve. Steve, when he coached at Loyola University Chicago, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn bringing this up, Steve, wonderful wife Ashley, 2 boys. He was coaching there, but he was still living in Greendale. He was commuting down, sometimes staying in Chicago. Good ball forward. But we'll get the whistle. I believe that's to indicate the end of regulation. Indeed, the linesmen are walking to the center. The way that ball had gone into the defensive half for the Torrent, or the offensive half for the Torrent, they thought they could make a run, but ultimately our official decides that's the end of regulation, and we believe we will have added extra time. We will either have added extra time or penalty kicks. We'll see. The teams can agree to go to penalty kicks if it is something that the coaches decide to do, but ultimately at the end of regulation it is 2-2 between the Torrent and the Glory. And we'll see if we have added extra time or if we decide to go to the spot. Back on Steve Bodie, as we have the opportunity to talk for a little while. Bodie, just one of the finest people you will ever meet. And it had to be stressful for him with young kids and that much travel and that much time away from home. And he goes from a situation where he was going down to Chicago that often to now, and he mentioned it in his press conference, he now and his family live in Wauwatosa, and he lives all of a mile from Warrior Field. And he's going to have a good group. He's got a program. Adam Heinsohn, sports information director over at Wisconsin Lutheran, love working with him. Hey, you know, it's a great situation. They hold on to their staff for a long time there, and they have successful programs. Women's basketball program, hey, a name you know if you know local basketball. The Knipples have a strong presence at Wisconsin Lutheran College, and, you know, that speaks to the quality and caliber of staff that they have been known to hire at Wisconsin Lutheran. So, you know, for Steve Bodie to join that group, that's great, and that's a great thing also for Troy Ramirez Pavon, as he will be part of that first group for Steve Bodie at Wisconsin Lutheran this coming season in their midfield. So you see the discussion occurring on the far side of the pitch. We will have added extra time in this USASA Amateur Cup Region 2 quarterfinal. Teams get 5 minutes of rest before they get to come back on for another 30 minutes. I do not believe this is a golden goal scenario. I believe that we play the full 15 and then 15, as you do at the highest levels of the sport. Goal summary. Torrent got things started with a Gabe Vaughn goal on a great cross by Brandon Kaup. Low cross, one touch. Vaughn able to get the finish past Utesh to make it 1-0 in favor of the Torrent. Then, near the very end of the first half, it was Kevin Sosa Lacia on a set piece from 25 yards out with the equalizer for the Green Bay Glory. Not long after the halftime recess was Dennis Niame. After there was a lot of contact in the box, the ball went out to Niame, while the focus for many of the others on the pitch was the contact and the non-call, who slotted one past Chiappa to make it 2-1 in favor of the Glory. But in the 68th minute, Max Ludwig with a beautiful strike that went just inside the far post on the south side of Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium. That made it 2-2, and that is the score as we head to added extra time. The Torrent definitely taking their time coming back onto the pitch here. The Glory still in their huddle along their touchline. No need to hustle out. Conserve as much energy as possible for this added extra time period. Again, 2 extra 15-minute periods is what we will have. Looks like the Torrent will kick off to start things. The Torrent have not yet adopted the modern PSG kickoff of just sending the ball forward and out of bounds, something that you see a number of teams are now doing. The linesman, one last high five with Alex Hofstetter, and they'll go and check out the goals, which is probably a smart move on this windy day, as a lot of things have come off their moorings today, perhaps including me. Once that's done, they'll head to their respective touch lines, and we'll get things back underway for added extra time. And again, no golden goal situation is what we're being told. So, can someone get a finish? Torrent back with the wind at their backs again, too. Again, both teams scored goals in each half. So both teams have a goal going into the wind and with the wind at their backs. DJ extraordinaire Kevy Kev cuts the music. Torrent kick off, and here we go with our first period of added extra time. Also of note, too, we are facing west from both our camera position and our broadcast position here at Eline Soccer Park. And the sunshine and the glare coming from the west, making it difficult. I am now holding up a pad folio as the Torrent take it towards the edge of the 6. Ball into the box, right in front of the goal. Ramirez Pabon can't finish, but we'll get a corner for the Torrent. Oh, Ramirez Pabon had to just bounce up to his waist. If it would have stayed at his foot level, he could have just tapped it in. But ultimately, there was nothing he could. The only thing he could have maybe tried to do was just play it with his hip. Quick corner for the Torrent. They'll take it short. Wasco has been out there the entirety of this match. Played forward by Ludwig. Back to Wasco. Cross up and over the top of the goal. Already a difficult cross for Wasco, but then add in the wind that takes the ball in that direction, and there was just not much he could do. Just in the second minute of added extra time, but a great opportunity for the Torrent to get back on top. Couldn't capitalize, though. Glory building slowly in the back. Our favorite player for the Glory, the unnamed number 17. Knocked about, taken away momentarily by the Torrent. Glory get it back, though. They'll try and spread things out a little bit more. Sosa Lecia. Nagenga to the far side, and number 17. We could refer to him by Roman numerals. XVII. Torrent get possession back. Maybe by an algebra problem. He could just be player X. John Doe, recommendation of producer Kevin O'Connor. It's a little anonymous. Ball played a little bit too far by the Torrent. Max Ludwig might want that ball back. Taken away by the Glory on the interception. Sosa Lucia towards the middle. Another interception this time for the Torrent. Now, both sides struggling to maintain possession. Let's see who can get control. Ball played to the near side. Ludwig has options. Plays the ball into the middle. One touch ball that goes to the Glory, unfortunately, for the Torrent. Medika Jones sends it back to Utesh. Glory will try the right side this time. 1-2 ball. Now into the middle. Picor. Through ball. Cleared away by the Torrent. Come to the near side. Let's see if this stays on. Wind picks up, so that will take the ball further down the pitch. It goes out. It'll be a throw-in for the Glory, but it'll be deep in their own half. Whistle. We do have a substitute at the midfield stripe for the Torrent. J.J. Espinoza, who has been out there the whole time for FC Milwaukee Torrent, will come off. Coming on for the Torrent. A player wearing number 15, and we also do not have a number 15 on our Torrent roster, so. Garrett Pointer is what we're being told in terms of who exactly that is. We'll make the adjustment. Was listed as number 3, although there were also 2 number 3s listed on the Torrent roster, so. Early season, folks. At this level, just happy to have guys out there at this time of year. Glory working their triangular form here. Pushed up in the air. One touch, nicely done on the part of Angel Gangola. Played back to Pointer. touched out by the Glory. And it will go 2-touch for the Torrent. Sixth minute of added extra time after this one finished 2-2 after 90. To the near side, Wasco. Towards the near side touchline, that's Dameles Pabon. He's got space. Plays a short ball with a little too much pace. Croton, too heavy on his first touch. Coming up to try and challenge Taylor Pill. Foul called against the Glory. Pill looked like he was the aggressor there. But they called a foul against Schroeder as if he somehow had something to do with Pill doing a somersault. To the far side, Diaz. Ooh. That's one Gabe Vong might want back. Saw it. Just kind of got wrong-footed. And as that happened, the ball skidded past him and into the hands of Utesh, the keeper for the Glory. Glory with possession off the goal kick, played forward. Controlled by the Torrent and Pointer. Far side. Ludwig. He had that second goal, and that's why we are in added extra time. Bad pass by the Glory. Knoten, far side, hesitates, shoots, deflected up in the air. It'll be a corner kick for the Torrent. Knoten didn't really get a good window to put a shot on goal, but he played it anyway. And sometimes good things happen when you just play a shot like that, even though you don't have any space. Such as this corner here, which is taken by Max Ludwig. To the middle, Gongora. Outside, looking around. Diaz, over to the far side. Ludwig, nice moves. Ball is deflected away momentarily. Torrent still hold on to the ball. Gongora. Far side, Diaz again. Diaz makes a move around a defender. Low cross, fielded by Utesh. About halfway through the first added extra time period. 2-2. Still your score. Also see a new face out there for the Green Bay Glory. That is Josef Navarro. We saw Abraham Navarro earlier. In fact, Abraham Navarro took a booking in the 84th minute. A whistle, and our referee, Alex Hofstetter, has gone down on the pitch. He reached for the back of his leg, and hopefully this is just a cramp. But this is a situation now where Hofstetter is down. He's got his hands on his head. He was standing. He just reached for the back of his leg, and then he just went down. And don't get me wrong, he went down on his own power. It's not like he collapsed or anything, but this is a bit of a scary moment here for Hofstetter, and now we may be in a situation. We do have 4 officials here today, so we may end up having to have the 4th official rotate in as a substitute if Hofstetter cannot continue to go. Again, hopefully this is just a cramp, and again, we're at that point of the year, and I'm assuming most of our viewers today are from the state of Wisconsin, save all of the folks from the LeCompte family who are watching from the other side of the world. And you can see here Navarro is limping off, and yeah, our 4th official is going to warm up. This is unfortunate, or we shouldn't say Navarro, Alex Hofstetter. This is unfortunate, you know, and I personally am one of the biggest advocates for respect for officiating that you will find out there. I make a point with all of the high school work that I do to do a read as a PA announcer, encouraging people in Wisconsin to go to wiaawi.org/officials to sign up and become certified. So much of what fans don't understand about officiating is that these guys have to make close calls at speed, and they have to have that understanding that, you know what, they are going to get yelled at by people in the stands. There are going to be coaches breathing down their neck, and it's not going to be necessarily whether or not they even think the calls are incorrect. It's not an easy job. It's not a high-paying job. It's a physically taxing job, as you can see right here. And, these guys work so hard. They're so dedicated to the sport. They're continuing often after their playing careers, sometimes even during their playing careers. And this is what you don't see this often, but it happens every once in a while. And the officials, hey, we talked about it earlier, how players run 9, 10 miles in a game. Officials often run 6, 7, 8, 9 miles a match. And it's, if anything, it's surprising it doesn't happen more, especially with the guys in the middle who are also subject to getting hit by balls, who are getting run into by players sometimes. And here you go, Alex Hofstetter is going to have to take a seat here, and he's going to get some treatment, and our fourth official will come on to serve as our center referee. The incident with Hofstetter occurred about 3 minutes ago, so he's going to have to look at his watch. He's going to kind of have to adjust to the time. We're all going to have to adjust to the time as well. There will be added time here in this added extra time period as a result of the injury to the referee, Alex Hofstetter. It's not something you see every day or even all that often, but again, it's a surprise. And I always emphasize, and this is the thing too, and I'm not making this point because it has anything to do with Hofstetter getting hurt, but you know what? These officials have to adjust to so much, they have to deal with so much, and that's why I always encourage fans. Look, every time you are critical of an official on the pitch, as we get a whistle and a foul call, our new official has to go to his whistle very quickly. And hey, these guys rotate between positions, so it's not like there's unfamiliarity there. But every time you're critical of an official, think about the psychological effect that has. And when you wonder why there are games getting rescheduled, there are games scheduled at odd times, it's because there aren't enough officials out there. And I'm sorry, unless you do it yourself, unless you are out there, unless you actually know what it's like to try and officiate a match, I really encourage you, think about biting your tongue. Because every time you're critical, it makes another guy think a little bit harder about whether or not he wants to be out there. And in moments like this is where, hey, it's a borderline luxury to have a fourth official who can hop out there and be able to do this right now. You watch high school JV matches, they oftentimes have to work with two officials. Each linesman is also making calls because there's no center referee. That's the state of officiating right now when it comes to what you're seeing at the high school level. So, hey, you know what? It's not easy. And again, it's very easy for fans to just want what they want their calls, and be critical of what they see. So think about it. Think about biting your tongue and have respect for what these guys do, because they're putting themselves and their bodies on the line like Hofstetter did there. And Hofstetter's back up. He's acting as the fourth official right now. Good on him. And also, hey, good on our fourth official, who is now the one who's in the middle. I'll be honest with you, when I go down before the match, those guys are getting mentally prepared for what they have to do. I like to get the name of the center ref, but I don't like to take more time than I have to. I say thank you to them for doing what they do. That's a ball played across the end line by the Torrent. Pausing to have a discussion here. Our producer, Kevin O'Connor, thinks maybe it was the linesman who rotated over to be the official. Ball through, around the keeper, shot on and in! A goal for the Glory! It's the substitute Schroeder. The Glory on the break into the wind take a 3-2 lead. It happened that quickly. A very direct ball. Schroeder, 1v1, got past his defender, got past the keeper, got Chiappa on the ground, and all he had to do was slot the ball between the pipes. 3-2, the Glory take the lead. Also a substitute for the Glory. Back on for the Glory is Pecor. Schroeder with the goal. It comes in the 105th minute. We are into added time in this first added extra time period. The extra half hour of soccer to try and decide who will advance in the USASA Amateur Cup. But the Glory now have the advantage on the strength of the break and goal for Schroeder. Into the wind, no less. And that's the thing. We saw the Glory play very direct when they had the wind at their backs. That time, they took a page out of that playbook, but going in the opposite direction. Low cross from the Torrent, cleared away. The Glory have made the adjustment to that Torrent approach, trying to send those low crosses in. They've done a good job of keeping their composure and just clearing the ball out. Unsurprisingly, we should have at least a couple minutes of added time in this first added extra time period. Stoppage time, if you will. Throw in for the Glory from the far side. First touch was from the Torrent and Gongora, but he can't keep it on. It'll be another throw in for the Glory from further forward. Throw in further forward. Seashells by the seashore. You can alliterate along at home, whether you are in the Fox Valley or around the Milwaukee area or wherever you may be around planet Earth, if you would like. Short clear by Ramirez Pabon, taken by Ludwig. Trying to make his way through two Glory defenders. Some holding. Tackle from behind. Dangerous tackle. Putting his hands on his head, Picor. We'll have a free kick for the Torrent. A little surprised that our official, who again had to come on for the injured Alex Hofstetter, didn't at least see if the Torrent had advantage there. Clearly a foul. But oftentimes when you get a stoppage like that, where there's no consideration for whether or not there is advantage, you may end up with a booking, but there was no booking there either. Ball played forward. There is space in front of Schroeder, but the reason for that is because Schroeder was offside. Torrent trying to work quickly, seeing if they can get one more opportunity before we head to our break between the first and second added extra time periods. It is touched out by the Glory. That is Henry Picard, who is on as a substitute for the Green Bay Glory, who sent that one beyond the touchline. Throw in for the Torrent. Edge of the 18. Skipping around and over the ball is Croton. Sent towards the far side by Ramirez Pabon. Max Ludwig, about 25 yards out, finds Croton. He's got three defenders in front of him. Tries to send the ball forward. It ends up being sent away by the Glory, and that is the end of our first added extra time period. And you can see for the Glory, we talked about cramps potentially with Hofstetter. Now it looks like there is some cramping for, I believe that's Niame. Anyhow, we are through one added extra time period, and the Green Bay Glory have taken the lead on FC Milwaukee Torrent 3-2. Dan Pfeiffer along with you from Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium. In the northeast corner of Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium, when we have the state soccer championships here, we sometimes have to direct fans to different parts of the stadium, and when you try and use cardinal directions in a place named Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium, it can get a little bit confusing quickly. I start to feel like the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz. Head to the northwest corner of Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium. But we are on the east side of the facility. As we are through one added extra time period, and right now it is the Seth Schroeder goal on the break for the Glory that has them on top in this one, 3-2. Do want to say thank you to all of the Torrent's great sponsors, as well as all of you watching out there on YouTube today, this USASA Amateur Cup Region 2 quarterfinal match. We've mentioned how windy it's been. The wind, if anything, has died down a little bit here in added extra time, but still a great day. Green Bay fans may even call it a glorious day here in Milwaukee. The weather here in the Milwaukee area, not all that much different than what you get up in the Fox River Valley, but typically at least 5 to 10 degrees warmer, which means there are occasions around this time of year where when there is rain and it's cold rain here, it may be snow up in that direction, but it's been kind of bouncing back and forth between these days where maybe you're getting a little wind and it's mostly clear today, but you might get some warm weather precip days, and then you'll have some days where it's in the 50s and 40s, and it's still kind of cold and rainy. And you get some of the clear days. I work a lot of baseball and softball as well with some of my media work, and it has been a struggle for some of those teams because of all of the precip that we've had this spring to get in a lot of their games. But beautiful day today here at Eline Soccer Park, northwest side of the city of Milwaukee, 76th and Good Hope. Again, a familiar spot if you're familiar with high school soccer in the state of Wisconsin. This is the destination every high school team wants to get to in the WIAA, as this is the home of the WIAA State Soccer Championships. It was the original home of the FC Milwaukee Torrent side way back in the early part of the 2010s. The Torrent have now been around for over a decade, almost hard to believe. I've been here since pretty much the very start. I remember going to the very first supporter gathering for FC Milwaukee Torrent. A lot of excitement about high-level soccer in Milwaukee, and right away, right off the kickoff, you see a cramp for the Torrent. That looks like Gongora that's down. Torrent, though, still far forward, even with Gongora down, and you see even one of the Glory players joining in as they're just kind of trying to stretch Gongora out. And yeah, with the warmer conditions today, it's mid-60s. It's cool. It's comfortable, if a little breezy. It's windbreaker weather for those of us who are not playing. For those who are playing, yeah, you're going to work up a lather on a day like today. You're going to get a sweat up. And, you know, again, this time of year, where players are at conditioning-wise can vary depending upon their spring seasons. And, again, you've got a mix of guys who are post-collegiate with guys who are also playing still spring ball for their college teams. Spring season is concluded, but if you are playing spring soccer, then you may be in a little better shape than some of the guys who, again, are post-collegiate. But, yeah, you know, one of these days where maybe it was a little bit warmer than everyone expected, and the hydration can be an issue, and you get some cramping accordingly. So we're hoping that was the case with our official Alex Hofstetter when he came off, because he grabbed for the back of his leg, and you can get some cramps in your hamstrings and your calves and all of that. But, yeah, Gongora now trying to stretch things out, and looks like he's going to stay on, but not feeling terribly great at the moment. And that was straight off the kickoff that he went down. Now we have a corner kick coming up for FC Milwaukee Torrent. His play did continue while he was down. And remember, this is a corner kick with the wind at the Torrent's back. Played into the middle. First head comes from Green Bay. And then the second one as well. It's cleared out. Now, granted, there's no one from the Glory that far away. This is going to go over the touchline, and it will be a throw-in for FC Milwaukee Torrent, who are sensing the urgency of the situation. Officially, we are in the 3rd minute of the 2nd period of added extra time. This would be the 108th minute of play, but of course with the cramps that we saw, we will probably have some added time in the 2nd period of added extra time as a result of the stoppage. Ball played in one touch on the part of the keeper, Utesh. That might be a mistake as it's controlled by the Torrent along the touchline. Croton, far side, plays a simple ball to Ludwig. Ludwig, 1v1, gets past a defender, finds Croton again. Croton, dispossessed, trying to find Quezada for a pass for the Torrent. Ball just played all the way back to the keeper by the Glory, and not exactly a purposeful ball, except it does take time off the clock, and that's starting to become an issue for the Torrent. Having given up that goal late in the 1st period of added time, they now find themselves behind the 8 ball if they want their USASA Amateur Cup to continue. And don't get us wrong, Certainly, success in league play is important. But the Amateur Cup has been good to FC Milwaukee Torrent in terms of giving them more opportunities to get out, play together as a team, and get some national recognition. And the USASA Amateur Cup, as we know, has been around for over a century. The winner nationally of the USASA Amateur Cup gets to go to the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup and compete potentially against MLS sides and sides at various professional levels. And it's something you want to have success in. And granted, when we talk about winning at a national level, you're talking about beating teams potentially. And when the Torrent went a couple years ago to compete after winning a regional championship, dramatic night where they beat Bavarian United, who has won the USASA Amateur Cup a number of times, you're playing teams from Arizona and Carolina, and ultimately the champions were the Pancyprians from New York. So you're competing against some of the best amateur sides in the country. You're traveling. Fortunately for the Torrent that year, the USASA Amateur Cup was in Chicago, and again, the Torrent have hosted it here in Milwaukee, the national tournament, just last year. But if you drop this match to the Glory, which, again, the more the time ticks off the clock, the more the Glory might be thinking that they can get this one. It's Ludwig outside the 18. Navigates through 3 Glory defenders, sends a ball out wide. Torrent trying to establish some spacing here. Ball sent back towards the near side. Lemeles Pabon. Further towards the near side. Diaz. Curling cross. Headed once by the Glory, controlled by the Torrent. Edge of the 18. Miscommunication on the part of the Torrent. Still controlled by Ludwig. Gets a couple shoves in the back, and the Glory are able to get possession. Ludwig trips his defender as the Glory take possession. Perhaps a little retaliation not seen by our substitute man in the middle after our main referee, Alex Hofstetter. Although it looks like that may be Hofstetter back out there. Hard to tell. He had the cramp, and maybe he's feeling back better. To be honest with you, both the man that came out and Hofstetter, similar looking, so... Throw in for the Glory. But if you can get 2, 3 more matches as part of your campaign and get the chance to compete for national silverware, you want to take it. And given the success the Torrent have had in the USASA Amateur Cup, it's a meaningful thing for this franchise. And of course, this franchise has developed a bit of a rivalry with Bavarian United SC. So they'd love to get a victory here so that they can maybe get the chance to go up against the Bavarians again. But right now, it's the Glory with the 1-goal advantage. And we are 6 minutes into the second period of added extra time. And the Torrent have yet to really have any quality opportunities materialize here in this second period of AET. Talking about the match 2 years ago where the Torrent faced the Bavarians for the right to go to the national semifinals. Ball rattled off the crossbar by Gongora. Cramping before, still not moving very quickly, but boy, that was a great strike by Gongora. Dangerous strike, almost an equalizer. But the woodwork, the friend of the Glory. Yeah, I had the chance to have the call of that match, and it was ultimately an own goal on the part of the Bavarians that sent the Torrent through, although the Torrent, again, created that own goal by having most of the possession. And it's a contrast, really, in cultures, because the Bavarians have been around for, again, close to a century. They have been such a dominant presence and an authoritative presence in Milwaukee soccer culture with their national titles and sponsorship from Leinenkugels when they were winning a couple of them. Again, you talk about the history of soccer in America. MLS, relatively recent, curled ball into the middle, comes down off the deflection to Ludwig, but challenged and cleared by the Glory. That'll go into the Glory's attacking half. Trying to chase it down is Schroeder, who right now has the game-winning goal. It doesn't go out over the touchline. The Torrent have to play it all the way back to the keeper, Chiappa. But that night 2 years ago against the Bavarians, and there's, and we want to show respect for what the Bavarians have done and everything that they are, but it's comparable a little bit to the British Empire. The Bavarians, they know that they've been the dominant force for so long, and they have a very well-structured program built up from the youth ages, and they draw from clubs like North Shore, and they have their own youth programs and everything, but they know that to an extent, they are soccer royalty. And to an extent, the Torrent have always been upstarts. In the middle, shot, deflected away by Utash. And that was the chance for the Torrent right there to get the equalizer. Ball in the middle. Great contact. Utash just happened to be in the right place in the right time. He wasn't even on his feet. Not done yet for the Torrent, though. We are 9 minutes into this second period of added extra time. 115th minute of the match. Correction. 125th minute. $115th. My math is terrible. The goal came in the 105 minute for the Green Bay Glory to put themselves on top. And Schroeder. But I like to talk about atmospheres that are electric, and you could feel the tension in the air that night as the Bavarians wanted to get back to that national tournament, and it was a veteran Bavarian squad. They sent their senior squad, and you're talking about a team that had guys who were great college players, but also guys who play in the Wisconsin Premier League, which is in many ways kind of an over 30 league. Guys who soccer is part of their blood. Curling ball, saved by Utesh. Good look on the part of Diaz, but Utesh up to the occasion. And with that experience and with that time playing the game, there is a feeling as though there's a sense of entitlement. A little. And you could kind of sense that from the Bavarians. They played that way. They had that style that night. Whereas, again, the Torrent were the upstarts. They've always been. And teams take the character of their manager, and in the case of the Torrent, their owner. And Andy Davi, feisty guy as a player, feisty guy as an owner. And the Torrent played feisty soccer that night. It was a contentious night. It was a physical game. But ultimately, the Torrent got that victory, and it was a celebratory night for the Torrent. A symbolic night for how far this Torrent franchise has come. And in the framework of Milwaukee soccer, and we sometimes lament the fact that Milwaukee soccer does have some split loyalties. But for the Torrent to take that step that night, it was such a fantastic evening and a validation of everything Andy Davi has done to try and build this Torrent side up. And that, getting to host the USASA National Cup last year, the National Amateur Cup, it really is a statement on how Andy Davi had a vision for what this club could be and has converted it into a dominant force in amateur soccer in the region. And that's just talking about the men's side, too. I mean, you can make a very realistic case that the women's side, which is just had spectacular success in the WPSL. We'll get a whistle and a foul. That'll go against the Torrent. Free kick for the Glory. Just been dominant at times, the women's side. Again, you can make a very realistic case that the Torrent women's side has had more success than the men. Carrie Giocaris, founder of the Green Bay Glory, played for the Torrent in the early years of the franchise and the women's side. And a lot of what she does with the Glory, the Torrent were the foundation. Now we get a push and a call. Things slowed down there. And, of course, the Torrent are trying to keep the tempo up here because they are running out of time. We are just 2 minutes away from the conclusion of the regulation time in the second period of added extra time. Turnaround shot, knocked up into the air and over the crossbar by Utesh. Gabe Vaung looking for his second goal of the match. It would have been an equalizer. It would have likely sent us to the penalty spot, but Utesh might have just saved the USASA Amateur Cup for the Green Bay Glory, although there is still a corner upcoming for FC Milwaukee Torrent. What a save by Utesh. It was borderline self-defense going down in the box for the Torrent, trying to get the PK call. Nothing there. Torrent still with it outside the 18. Still a lot of contact and hand fighting going on in the box. Attempted shot by Ludwig, who had the second Torrent goal blocked. Ball played back. Diaz. Near side falling down. Grabbing his foot and his leg. Worst possible time for the Torrent. To have cramping on the part of Vaung. And ultimately, that might have been the Torrent's last best chance. Torrent got a couple great shots off here in this second period of added extra time. But all credit to the Green Bay Glory keeper, Hakan Utesh. When we talk about this Torrent side as full of fight, scrappy, they've been that way throughout their history. This is a side that has never taken anything for granted again in many ways as an organization after dealing with the loss of quite a bit of their gear, their merchandise last year, their home facility with the flood. This Torrent team has had to show a lot of heart. They've tried to show it today. It hasn't been for a lack of effort on the part of FC Milwaukee Torrent. But the opportunities were just of greater quality today for the Green Bay Glory. Right now it's the Glory up 3-2, and we're into gut check time for the Torrent as we're into added extra time as part. We should say stoppage time as part of added extra time. And the Torrent need a miracle. Glory applying pressure. Cross from the Torrent. Nobody there. Taking his time before clearing it out is Abraham Navarro. It is cleared out, but it's across the touchline. Throw in for the Torrent, still in the attacking half. Croton tripped. We'll have a throw in for the Torrent. They'll take it quickly. Ball played towards the near side. Pointer came on as a substitute. Ludwig also came on as a substitute. He's got a goal. Tries to curl the ball towards the corner, but it's picked out of the air by Utesh. And there is your final whistle. The Green Bay Glory will advance in the USASA Amateur Cup. They are the winners in this Region 2 quarterfinal in added extra time. 3-2, knocking FC Milwaukee Torrent out of the Cup competition with a victory away at Eline Soccer Park. Credit to the Glory. They have built something good quickly on the men's side after they were founded on the women's side by Carrie Giocaris. And today they got the job done by making the trip south down either I-43 or I-41. You can take either trip. And on a breezy, gusty day here at Eline Soccer Park, the Green Bay Glory find a way with a goal in added extra time by Seth Schroeder as they get the victory 3-2. 2 goals for the Torrent in the match. They got the first one. It was Gabe Vaung off a low cross by Brandon Kaup in the 15th minute. The Glory got their answer from Sosa Lacia on a set piece in the 45th minute. Dennis Niame put the Glory ahead in the 51st minute after some chaos in the box. Max Ludwig with a great strike in the 68th minute leveled the match at 2. That sent us to added extra time. But again, it was the Schroeder goal that will move the Glory on in the USASA Amateur Cup, while the Torrent will not advance past the Region 2 quarterfinal this year. There is still a lot of FC Milwaukee Torrent soccer to be played this year yet, though. You've still got the full league schedule for the men in the NPSL. You've still got the full women's schedule in the WPSL. Head to MilwaukeeTorrent.com to find out more about how you can see your Milwaukee Torrent in 2026 as they make their return to Hart Park, the new surface there, recovering from the flood last year. Support soccer in Milwaukee. Head to MilwaukeeTorrent.com. Season tickets still available as well. Pick those up while you have the opportunity. New kits for sale. You name it, you'll find it at MilwaukeeTorrent.com. That's where you want to point your browser to find out how you can support amateur soccer in Milwaukee. The USASA Amateur Cup comes to a close for FC Milwaukee Torrent. The Green Bay Glory will advance through the bracket after getting a 3-2 victory in added extra time away against FC Milwaukee Torrent at Eline Soccer Park today. My thanks to Kevin O'Connor for doing the very difficult legwork to get everything involved with the broadcast and the logistics set up. My name is Dan Pfeiffer saying be a fan. Thanks for joining us. And do make sure to subscribe to the FC Milwaukee Torrent YouTube channel so you can find out when there's FC Milwaukee Torrent soccer going on and watch it online. But today, the Torrent can't get the victory against the Glory. 3-2 your final in added extra time in this USASA Amateur Cup Region 2 quarterfinal. So long for now. This has been FC Milwaukee Torrent Soccer in the USASA Amateur Cup.